If you've ever shopped for a camera backpack, you've either been confused, overwhelmed, or disappointed. Few topics in photography are as polarizing as camera backpacks. Now, why is this? Well, that's because everyone's body type is different and every photographer's needs are different. So how do you make the right choice? I'm going to teach you some universal concepts that will help steer you in the right direction. And for the sake of brevity, we're not going to talk about shoulder bags or small little camera cases. We're going to focus solely on the larger packs. So here are 4 questions to ask yourself when you're about to buy a camera backpack. Number 1, what type of photography do I do? I know it sounds like a simple question, but it is the most important question because it guides every other decision that we make. And for the sake of simplicity, I've actually broken it up into 3 different styles of photographer. The first being the urban professional. This is somebody who's going from a clean home environment to a clean studio environment. And you're really just transporting your equipment, and that's all you're using the pack for. The second is the urban enthusiast. This is somebody who is maybe professional or just an enthusiast, but they are on location, they're out around the city, so they're gonna require some type of quick access as well as some weather protection and gear protection. And the third being the outdoor enthusiast or the adventure tourist. And this is somebody who's going into the backcountry or into the wilderness is going to require a lot of weather protection. They're also going to require protection for their equipment as well as capacity to be able to take other things like food, water, additional clothing, and sometimes solar battery chargers. Number 2, how predictable is my shooting? If you are a professional who does studio work, then generally once you get to the studio, you open up your bag and you don't close it again until the job is done and you're ready to go home. But if you are a street photographer or you're on location, sometimes you want to have quick access to your camera to take advantage of a moment happening that may never happen again. And so that might mean that you have a separate side access for your camera, or your camera lives on a holster on your belt, and then you just store your lenses in your bag. For the adventure tourist or the adventure athlete, that means going to the backcountry and generally waiting for the light to be right, waiting for an animal to show up, or generally waiting for an athlete to be prepared and to do the shot. So you don't really need super quick access. You really need protection and comfort more than anything else. Number 3, how much are you using your bag? Almost all backpacks have zippers. There's really only 3 things in life that are certain: death, taxes, and broken zippers. The more you use a zipper, the faster it wears out and the greater chance it's going to break. And you're gonna have to ask yourself when you're on your shoot, if your zipper breaks, how are you gonna keep in all your gear? Not such a big deal if you're an urban professional. Hey, take a cab home, you'll figure it out. But if you're 2 or 3 kilometers into the backcountry, this is suddenly a really big deal. One of the great tenets of backpack design is access versus durability. And as a photographer, you're gonna have to ask yourself, what is more important for you? You may also need the bag to do double duty. For example, does the bag convert into just a regular backpack? Or can the bag also carry things like your lunch, a jacket, water bottle, cell phone, computer, hard drives, all of this other stuff that you may need to take with you on a job. Number 4, how long are you wearing the bag for? And this is kind of code for how well does it fit? Now, if you are a studio professional and you're just going from home to studio, then it kind of doesn't really matter that much. You can probably just take a rolling bag for what it's worth. But if you are on location and you're moving around quite a bit and you're maybe in a hot city, all of this really plays into how comfortable the bag is going to feel after wearing it for 3, 4, 5, or 8 hours. Even more so is if you're in the backcountry and you're not only having to carry a lot of extra gear so the weight goes up, also you're covering often very challenging terrain and the bag has to have a lot of control to it. It can't be flopping around everywhere. One of the differentiators in backpack design is access. You're either going to get access via the back of the bag, the front of the bag, or the top of the bag. Now, this makes a difference because if you are a studio photographer, then generally it doesn't matter that you put your straps down towards the ground because they're going to stay clean. But if you are out in the backcountry or you're in an urban environment that has a lot of dirty streets or mud or moisture, then you don't want to put your straps down on the ground and get them dirty because that's going to make you dirty. One of the last points I want to make is about how you pack your bag and how much it actually matters. If you're going to wear your bag all day long, then you want to follow this rule. Do not put the heaviest stuff on the bottom. If you put the heaviest stuff on the bottom, it's going to dig into your back and it's going to pull you backwards and it's going to be really uncomfortable after a very short time. What you want to do is put the heaviest stuff in the middle, put the lightest contents on the bottom, and the mid-weight stuff on top. So light, heavy, mid-weight. What this is going to do is it's going to allow the weight to fall onto your hip bones and be a lot more comfortable to be carried by your skeletal system. This, of course, is contrary to a lot of backpack design that has the quick access point for the camera on the bottom, and that's often going to be one of your heaviest items. So you have to ask yourself, if I'm wearing my bag all day long, what bag allows me to pack it properly so the weight falls onto my hips properly? Okay, so I'm going to show you how to properly fit and size a backpack, which is a little bit more involved than most people think. And if you remember off the top that I said everybody's body shape is different, what I'm really talking about is your torso height, the distance between your hip bone and your shoulder. And this is going to be different based on gender, but it's also going to be different based on people's height. And so if you are 5 foot tall versus being 6'4" tall, you're going to have a very different experience. Most backpacks made for photo gear are one size fits all, which means that if you're on either end of that spectrum, you're going to struggle a little bit more than if you're, say, my height, 5'8". But we're going to see what it looks like on someone who is 6'4", my friend Woody. So Woody's our social media manager here at Vistek, and Woody, being all glorious 6'4", we're going to get you this bag. Now, the bag that Woody's putting on right now is our adjustable bag by Lowepro. It's the Lowepro Trekker 600 AW3. It's a bit of a mouthful. We're going to start with the waist, and we start with the waist because we want all that weight to fall onto his waist. If you was to start with the shoulders, what would happen is the waist wouldn't line up, and we want that to be right on the hip bones. Once we've done that, we can move up and we can pull snug your shoulders. Great. And I'm going to get you to pan over and look that way. Yeah, and now what we're going to do is after we've done the shoulders, we're going to reach back and grab these stabilizer straps and snug them in. Now what's really great about this is actually at one of the lowest settings, it fits Woody's torso really, really well. And there's a connection point that's about 2 inches, about 1.5 inches, 2 inches from the top of his shoulder. That's what we're ideally gunning for. And what we're also looking for is that the weight of the bag is sitting on his waist and not on his shoulders. And we can do that if you keep your spine straight as well and you just dip that shoulder down, right? We can see that it stays up. And that means all the weight is on his waist. That's great, looks awesome. Let's take a look at one more different aspect to wearing and sizing a bag. The next thing I want to show you in regards to fitting and wearing a backpack is that a backpack fits very differently when it's empty versus when it's full of your gear. And so when you're going to shop for a backpack, find a staff person because they're going to need to find some weight to put inside the bag. And you're in a camera store, so there's probably a sandbag laying around. What I've done with this bag here, we've got a 10 bag that I've actually put 2 sandbags in, so we're probably sitting around 30 pounds. And which is way more weight than you'll ever put in your bag, but it really illustrates how the bag is going to fit. And I've put it in the center where it allows the weight to sit and fall on your waist. So what we're going to do now is I'm also going to show you how to lift a bag. So most people, when they lift a heavy backpack specifically, they want to grab the shoulder straps, and that's a really bad idea for 2 reasons. One is that when I do this, I actually have to twist my spine to get into it, and that is asking for a very big medical bill. The second is that bags don't really have straps that are designed to be tugged on like this that much, and so if you do this a lot, what I see is that they tend to tear or open up, even the most expensive bags. So bags often have a top handle, and this is how you want to lift it. Are you left or right-handed?
I am right-handed.
So just like me, so what you're going to do is you're going to grab the top handle of the bag and you're going to lift that onto your extended lap. And then what you're going to do is you're going to switch hands and you're going to rotate your body into it and just tuck yourself in. So I'm going to get you to do the same thing. I'm going to put that up for you. Great. Yeah, and then switch hands, rotating your body in. Awesome. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do our waist up. Now this is a smaller bag. This is a one-size-fits-all, and that's mostly what you're going to find with camera backpacks. They often aren't sized specifically to body type. In Woody's case here, with bigger shoulders and having a longer torso, the connection point with the back of the bag is a little bit lower than it was with the previous bag, so he's going to probably have to wear this bag a little bit higher to accommodate. But we still want the weight to fall onto his hip bone. So I've done the waist up, then the shoulders, now you've pulled the stabilizers, so that's about as good as it's going to get. The next thing we're going to do is we are going to do up the sternum strap. Now it's an optional thing, but what a sternum strap does is it allows the shoulder straps to come in towards the sternum, freeing up the motion in your shoulder and rotator cuff. And so if you're walking a long distance with your bag, you want that liberty in your shoulder joint to be able to move without any sort of rubbing or discomfort. How does it feel? Good, great. And again, what I'm looking for is to make sure that the weight is on his waist, and sometimes what I do to test for that is I unclip the sternum, loosen this off, and I just hold it up so that really these aren't doing anything, and you can see the weight is sitting on his waist. If we undo the waist and we unclip it and all the weight is on your waist, how different does that feel?
Yeah, it's a lot different.
Pretty terrible. You could probably get away with this for like maybe 10, 15 minutes, but after that, it's like impossible to wear. So if you're going long distances with a lot of heavy weight, you really want the weight all on your waist. So you can take that off. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
The first rule when using bags with zippers is to never open a zipper like this, which is what everybody wants to do and is a fast track to broken zippers. So make sure that you're always using the zipper pulls when you're opening up the bag. The second is if this were to break somehow, how would you keep this closed? And you want to look for bags that actually have a backup buckle. It does two things. One is it can save you when the zipper does break, but also it takes the load off the zipper. So if you've really got this bag cranked full of stuff, by cranking this down, you're going to reduce the load on the zippers when a heavily packed bag is in use. So one of the other factors that you can look at is having a bag that's a top loader. Yes, I know that it's not as convenient, but if you are in the backcountry and you can't really risk a zipper breaking, this is your only solution. And oftentimes, it's a fine solution. It's just not great for people doing street photography or sometimes travel photography, that type of thing. But for adventure, tourism, and that type, it means that your bag is virtually indestructible. So if you're doing any photo work where you're going to need more than just camera gear or a lot of extra special camera gear and you're hiking it in somewhere, you're going to need to buy an expedition bag from an outdoor store. And the good news with that is you can buy a bag without zippers. You can also buy a bag that's specifically fit to your torso. But you're going to have to figure out how you're going to manage all of your photo gear within that bag. And we've got some awesome Tenba packing cubes that are made specifically or work really well for this particular situation. And so what you can do is you can fit all of your specific stuff within these photo cubes, and then the photo cubes can go directly, as in the case of my Arc'teryx bag here, right into the bag itself, in addition to all the other things that you need. Now, if you want to be able to sort of like pull all this stuff out and not risk it sort of tumbling down the side of a hill, you can also go and buy some cordage or some webbing, daisy chain it, and with a couple carabiners, basically clip them all in together. So I will do this, and then clip the top handles with these carabiners. You can get locking or non-locking. It's always good if you can get locking. It's one less thing to worry about. And then they will all kind of clip together here, and you can pull them out of your bag like this and then hang them or clip them to something, and you don't have to risk them sort of being separated for any reason. The other thing that you can do is if you are sort of on a long hike and you don't want to wear your camera next to you or on some other sort of side pouch because you might risk, scraping it on something, but you want to have quick access to it, that's what the top lids are great for. So often a top lid should be big enough to fit a DSLR or at least a medium to large size mirrorless camera, and you will just fit it in here and close the top lid, and all you will have to do is just reach back, undo the zipper, and pull the camera out. And that's one of my recommendations. My last sort of recommendation is, in most cases, we do keep water bottles in our bags or on a sort of a side pouch. When you're carrying expensive camera gear, even though this seals really, really well, I always suggest keeping your water bottle on the outside, just in case anything happens. You wouldn't want to deluge your entire gear. Well, that about packs it up. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys got something from this. And as always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got more videos like this coming your way. And comment in the comment section below. We'd love to hear from you and love to hear what kind of videos you want to see. As well, we're on all the social things like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We tweet. Yes, we tweet. Please find us there. Until next time, I'm out of here.